The Waco hearings open here on Capitol Hill with a dramatic child's eye view from inside the Koresh compound. President Clinton says affirmative action is good for America, and he's sticking with it. Republicans relish a fight with him about that. And America's top banker says the economy's improving. Wall Street responds with a big plunge in stock prices.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting tonight from Washington.
Good evening. Here on Capitol Hill, the opening of the Republican offensive to investigate the Branch Davidian tragedy near Waco did produce disturbing first-hand testimony today. As the hearing opened, critics heard very little of what they hoped would heap scorn on federal peace officers. Instead, they were stopped cold by a teenager's chilling inside account of life with David Koresh. Jim Stewart reports.
No matter what else was said, it would be 14-year-old Kiri Jewell's explicit testimony about being coerced into having sex with David Koresh that set the tone this first day of hearings into the bloody siege near Waco, Texas.
David told me to come and sit down by him in the bed. I was wearing a long white t-shirt and panties. He kissed me and sat there, but then he laid me down.
Jewell, just 10 at the time, portrayed Koresh as a manipulative prophet who abused all the women and children in the Branch Davidian compound and preached hatred for the government he called Babylon.
It was also accepted that the best way to shoot yourself if necessary in this battle with Babylon was to put the gun in your mouth, back to the soft spot above your throat before pulling the trigger.
Hundreds of guns, many illegal, were commonplace at the Branch Davidian fortress, a Justice Department witness said today.
Do you have any doubt that there were illegally converted machine guns like this in the Davidian compound?
None whatsoever. In fact,
it was just the first of 8 days of jam-packed hearings into the 1993 Branch Davidian raid that left 90 dead. Perhaps needlessly, say Republicans critical of the raid.
unavoidable, some say. Maybe so. But before we close the book on those 90 human beings, we better be very sure we know exactly what happened.
Key questions the hearings hope to answer are, what proof did the government have crimes had been committed at the Branch Davidian site? Who fired first? Why did the siege end and the tanks go in? And who decided that? There will be 90 witnesses altogether, including other Branch Davidian survivors, but none with the likely impact of Kiri Jewell and her memory of the man who called himself a Messiah.
I had known this would happen sometime, so I just laid there and stared at the ceiling. I didn't know how to kiss him back. Anyway, I was still kind of freaked out.
And judging from their reaction to that testimony, it's fair to say, so were the members of Congress who launched these hearings. Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
In the Senate, the second day of the Republicans' renewed Whitewater offensive produced new partisan political sparks and revisited the depression and death of White House aide Vincent Foster. Chief CBS News Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer has the latest on that.
Committee Republicans spent another day replaying the worst hours of the Clinton presidency, the night the president's friend and White House lawyer Vince Foster killed himself. It produced little new information, but former administration official Webb Hubbell did disclose more detail on how Foster's deep depression had affected his behavior.
He was overly suspicious about things, was afraid to use the telephone when he talked to me.
Did he not relay to you in a conversation that, in fact, he was afraid or frightened, didn't trust the telephones at the White House?
Yes, he did.
Hubbell, another Clinton confidant who's en route to prison after his own life was turned upside down by an embezzlement conviction, said recalling Foster's last days was almost too much to bear.
And I think to myself every day, what if I'd seen Vince? Maybe he would be here today.
All this came about as Republicans tried again to find out if White House aides had tried to block the FBI from entering Foster's office on the night he died because they were afraid someone would see documents there detailing the president's investment in the Whitewater deal. But so far, no real evidence that's what the White House was trying to do. Dan?
Well, Bob, what in terms of substance have they come up with?
Well, not a lot, really. It's going to be embarrassing for the White House. Clearly, on the night that Foster died, the people there ran amok. No one seemed to be in charge. But it seems to be blunders by a lot of people that were under great stress. There's no sign yet they really did anything illegal.
Well, Bob, with the Whitewater hearings going on at the same time that the Waco hearings are going on, is the White House bracing for a crippling blow?
Well, they know this is going to be a very rough week, Dan, but I'll tell you the other part is I think the Republicans are going to have to be very careful that with this Waco thing going on, that it doesn't leave the apparent